Today we tell the tale of an attempted jewelry heist in Boca Raton, Florida that didn't go quite as planned for the alleged thief when the store owner took matters into his own hands. His quick thinking led a woman from diamonds to detention. Today, a lesson in messing with the wrong business. If you're not careful, instead of walking away with millions, you may find yourself locked in a vault. Welcome to Capers and Cocktails, a true crime podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously and gives you something to enjoy while you listen. The following content may be disturbing to some. Discretion is advised. If you're enjoying one of our themed cocktails, ensure you're of legal drinking age and have fun, but drink responsibly. The call came on a Tuesday, a smooth, accented voice inquiring about stones of exceptional brilliance. This woman claimed to represent an anonymous buyer from a foreign country, and Bobby Yampolsky, the owner of ECJ Lux Collection in Boca Raton, was excited. This was the potential for a big deal. This anonymous buyer evidently was interested in buying several very high-quality diamonds that they could use in future pieces of jewelry. Over the next few weeks, this woman, speaking on behalf of the buyer, and Bobby worked out a deal for 11 diamonds that the buyer would purchase for $6.7 million, or $8.4 million today. By the way, that's an increase in just about $2 million in inflation in 7 years. I'm just saying. Today's crime is a classic Florida man or Florida woman crime, so we have to make a Florida drink. We can also drink to, or because of, rising diamond costs if you'd like. The Fuzzy Navel stands as a classic cocktail, cherished by mixology enthusiasts and drinkers alike for over 3 decades. This delightful cocktail made its debut in 1984, conceived as part of a marketing ploy to boost peach schnapps sales. Originally, the Fuzzy Navel recipe replaced the vodka in a screwdriver with peach schnapps. However, it's much more common to find a version now that blends equal parts peach schnapps with orange juice. The cocktail's name is a nod to its ingredients. Fuzzy notes the peach schnapps, which imparts a soft and fuzzy quality to the drink, while Navel notes the type of orange juice typically used, sourced from navel oranges. Honestly, that's not what I would have thought of as to why it's called that, but that's okay. That's all right. It's not. I didn't name it. We're making this drink because both of these fruits grow well in Florida, especially, as you know, oranges. To make our cocktail, we're going to take 2 parts peach liqueur and 2 parts orange juice and add them to a glass with ice and stir to combine. Simple and delicious. For the mocktail, it's just an equal mix of peach and orange juice. Also simple and also delicious. You could also add some non-alcoholic vodka to the mocktail if you want to get some of the alcohol vibes of the drink. Drink up, and it's preferred that you pretend you're on a Florida beach and not like the main character of our story. After diamond seller Bobby and the diamond buyer worked out all the last-minute details, the only thing that remained was for the agent of the buyer to thoroughly examine the gems and finalize the transaction. The day of the exchange arrived, March 18th, 2017. The woman, 46-year-old French national Fatima Milanovic, all tailored elegance and steely resolve, entered the store. She was wearing a wide-brimmed hat, a business suit, well, like a suit with a skirt, anyway, and she was carrying a briefcase. Fatima was quickly greeted by Bobby and taken to a vault room where high-value purchases were handled. Oh, and if you're wondering, this is not like a regular vault, like the kind of vault you see in a bank. It's actually just a very fancy big room with jewels on display and nice chairs. You got to be comfortable if you're dropping that much cash, right? But it is a real vault, and it definitely has that big steel vault door. Once Bobby and Fatima were seated at a table in the vault, he asked her if she would like to inspect the stones. She eagerly agreed, and Bobby took out an envelope, pulling out the diamonds to set on a velvet viewing pad. But then Bobby started to get a little suspicious. Fatima started acting nervous and shaky. She told Bobby she was feeling sick. Then Fatima started to try, albeit a little poorly, to distract Bobby and get him to, look away from the $1 million stones on the viewing pad. But before he could really say anything, she agreed to the deal for the stones and said the purchaser would wire the money. But it turns out that it wasn't what Fatima was doing, but instead what she wasn't, that raised the biggest red flag for Bobby. The only method that Fatima used to examine the stones was her naked eye, and she did not even carry something as simple as a diamond tester or a jeweler's loupe with her in order to examine the diamonds. There is no reasonable buyer who would be willing to pay millions of dollars for diamonds without first putting them through a thorough analysis and examining them very closely. And despite the fact that Fatima had not even bothered to verify the authenticity of the stones, she agreed to the transaction. Fatima pulled some packing material from her bag and, also unusually, insisted the stones be wrapped up in the packaging that she brought and sealed with some packing tape. Bobby told Fatima that it would be no problem to do that and that he would wrap the diamonds for her, but that he would keep the package in the vault until he received the wire transfer. He and she both wrapped up the diamonds, and then Bobby, at least according to him, humored her a little bit by looking away. So she thrust the package in her bag and then pulled out an identical package. But Bobby had bent the corner of the real package. He stood up and booked it out of the vault, holding the fake package. But on the way out, he tried to grab her briefcase. They had a brief struggle for the bag, but Fatima was holding on for dear life. Giving up on the briefcase, he exited the vault, closed the glass door, and then slammed the heavy steel vault door shut. This locked Fatima right inside, and he went straight to the phone to call the police. You can hear Bobby on the 911 call saying, quote, "We have a lady here who tried to scam us. We locked her in the safe," end quote. When the police came, Fatima was still locked inside the vault. Bobby told the police about the many attempts Fatima made to distract him, and then told them what had eventually sealed the deal for him, sealing her inside the vault. As soon as Fatima pulled out her own packing materials, he realized that she was intending to do the old bait and switch with the package she undoubtedly had already prepped in her bag that had identical fake diamonds in it that looked like the real ones that had been described in detail in the weeks of phone calls and emails between Bobby and Fatima before they met. Bobby would say, quote, "That's how she tried to scam us. She brought her own materials, wrapped it herself with her own tape, and tried to pull the switch because she had the identical package in her bag pre-made," end quote. When police got into the vault, they found a panicked and trapped Fatima with a purse and briefcase. Inside the purse was a phone and the packing materials torn to bits, the torn scraps a testament to her botched heist. No jeweler's loop, no diamond tester, not a single professional tool was inside of her purse. They also found a set of phony diamonds that were a perfect match for the stones that Bobby was about to sell to Fatima. Fatima calmed down and even at one point handed the police a $50 bill and asked them to go pay the taxi that was waiting outside. It's also probably worth mentioning that this vault had, to no surprise, security cameras. Every single bit of the time that Fatima had spent in the vault, including the moments where Fatima was alone and locked inside, were caught on tape. On the footage, you can see that when she was locked inside the vault alone, she right away tried to put the diamonds up her skirt. You can see the entire attempted crime in various places online, including at some of the links I have in the description box if you want to see this absolutely botched all to heck crime. Fatima Milanovic was taken into custody and booked into the Palm Beach County Jail on charges of grand theft and organized fraud. She was released on $50,000 bond after pleading not guilty, and her attorney, naturally, said she was innocent. He would say, quote, "We believe that Miss Milanovic was misguided by people she trusted and had no intent to ever commit a crime while visiting the U.S. Miss Milanovic is a mother and wife missing her family back home in France, and we look forward to having these charges dropped and reuniting her with her loved ones," end quote. Bobby, the full-time jewel seller and part-time heister catcher, would say, quote, "I'm glad we got her off the streets and no one got hurt," end quote. Well, it appears that Fatima may be back on the streets. Yeah, she may have left the United States to head back to France to avoid facing justice for her crime. On October 3rd, 2017, she failed to appear for a status check hearing, and Palm Beach County's 15th Circuit Court issued a no-bond warrant and forfeited her $50,000 bond. She failed to show up in court again in November of 2017, and as of today, the case is still listed as open. The statute of limitations for both of the crimes that Fatima was accused of is 5 years, so that's passed, but I'm not exactly sure what it means if someone has already been arrested and charged for the crime. I can't say for sure, but I don't think Fatima is ever going to come back to the United States to find out. Thanks for hanging out with me. These Florida man crimes get me every time, or I guess in this case, Florida woman crimes. Part of me wishes that all states had such open records, and then, well, part of me is glad that they don't. Anyway, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, leave a review, ring the bell, leave a nasty comment, like my photos on Instagram, talk to me on Facebook, read my tweets, blah, 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 blah. I don't know how this happened. Well, I guess I do because I choose the order of the cases, but we've got another cult on the docket for next week. This one you've probably heard of, even if you don't know much about them. The Moonies. We're making a well-themed cocktail as well, and you can get those ingredients in this week's description box, so you're well prepared to make the drinks with me. I'll see you next week, and remember, if you're going to steal some jewels, try not to get yourself locked inside the vault.